This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary here on this Wednesday, March 25. Todd Leary is with us as always. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jake's at the wheel. On the program today, former Hoosier Brian Evans is going to join us. Look forward to talking to Brian, always full of some great stories. Dustin DePirick from The Athletic will join us as well. And then we got plenty to talk about, as unbelievable as it is to say that, Todd Larry. But
we do? Awesome. I can't wait to hear these topics.
I know it. Well, yesterday, Aaron Wellman introduced as Indiana's latest strength coach for football yesterday with Tom Allen at a press conference they had. So we'll hear from him. Actually, Aaron's going to join us on the program tomorrow, Indiana's newest strength coach. Maybe we can get a loan from him, man.
He looks like a badass. So
I guarantee it. I'm
not going to try to piss him off.
Oh, man, he does. He looks like a strength coach, doesn't he?
He does.
Guarantee it. But, yeah, looking forward to it. We'll hear from him. We'll hear from Tom Allen today as well. Looking forward to that.
Do you think Cliff Marshall comes back and tries to renegotiate his contract?
Well, you know what? But you got to think about it. He's got, 14, 15 guys? The other dude's got like 115 guys.
Yeah, well, one guy is at a basketball school and the other guy's at a football guy at a basketball school.
Yeah, can you imagine this? 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the strength coach for football, the coach for football is making more money than the basketball coach. Crazy.
Unbelievable.
It's nuts.
You would not
never.
You would not have guessed it.
No, nope, never. I would have never thought that day could ever arrive. But it did. Well, I forgot to mention yesterday, Obi Toppin, AP Player of the Year. Anthony Grant, his coach at Dayton, Coach of the Year. So look at Dayton go.
So AP Player of the Year. That's not the Wooden Award, though, right?
No. It's just AP Player of the Year award.
They haven't done the Wooden Award yet, correct?
Nope, correct. And I saw a thing someone posted yesterday that, the people that think Luka Garza should get it is crazy. I think that's absolutely wrong. I think that he should get it. I think that what he did in the Big Ten Conference this season alone, to me, that shuts.
Yeah, who says that they don't think Luka Garza should
the conversation
get it?
Player in the baddest league.
Yeah,
I just saw a post on somewhere, but yeah,
Luka Garza put up numbers, night in and night out against really, really good competition. And this is not, here's the thing people have to understand when you make a statement like that is that doesn't mean I don't think Obi Toppin's a great player, because I think Obi Toppin is an unbelievable player.
And might be a better pro.
No, for sure will be a better pro. I mean, barring injuries from both guys, 10 years from now, Obi Toppin will easily, in my opinion, be a better pro. But, we're not talking about the pros. We're talking about a college player.
Exactly.
And Luka Garza is a better college player than Obi Toppin. I mean, there's just no. He impacted his team more than that. Now, what's on SportsCenter every night? I mean, highlight dunks, somebody going crazy making 11 3-pointers or something crazy like that. And Obi Toppin probably was the best in-game dunker maybe ever. I mean, that's a crazy statement, but maybe like since Vince Carter and guys like that. I mean, his in-game dunks going between the legs and windmill dunking. I mean, that nobody does that. Like, nobody does that. So, yeah, I mean, he was on SportsCenter a lot, which would make you believe.
The funniest thing is all those highlights that you just talked about, which are absolutely real and right. The best highlight of the year for me from him was that 3 points that he shot in November where he's mugging against the bench as the ball's still in the air. That was my favorite.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I agree. I mean, so my point in that is it's not that I don't think Obi Toppin is great, because I think Obi Toppin, if I had a number one pick in the draft and those were the two guys to choose from, I'd pick Obi Toppin. There's no question about it. But if I was talking about what performance throughout the entire season was better, there isn't any doubt Luka Garza's was more impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Obi Toppin would have been great in the Big Ten, but he would not have put up the numbers he put up. No. I promise you that.
No.
He did not go up against the bigs and the talent game in, game out that Luka Garza did. And Luka Garza just went through them like Swiss cheese, man.
Yeah, no, it was, it was a consistent thing for Luka Garza. That's why, and I mean, heck, you and I have no battle to fight for Luka Garza. I mean, we don't have any reason to like him. It's just watching what he did.
Obi Toppin, if you want to be honest about it. I love Obi. I've loved him all year, but
yeah,
Luka Garza's the guy to me, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with you.
Karl Anthony Towns, his mom has been put into an induced coma after being diagnosed with COVID-19 coronavirus.
Oh my gosh. That's awful.
Yeah, it's serious stuff, man. The NFL draft is still going on though right now. Oh man, my buddy Bobby Sheridan. He is a great friend of the show, but I'm going to blast him a little bit because he said something yesterday on Twitter that they were talking about the Duke game, the famous Indiana Duke game. And what is it that he said that Duke was the best team of that year and that they had dominated that game until the very end. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. I was like, remind me of this tomorrow. I got somebody that I know will have a
Which Duke game are we talking about?
The Duke game.
Our Duke game?
Yes.
Oh, what's he talking about? We were ahead at halftime.
Oh man, I can't. Let's see.
That guy needs to pull out his VHS videotape.
He's a good friend of the show. I'll give him some grief on this one, but yeah, I disagree with you on that one, Bobby. I think Indiana should have won that game. But yeah, Duke was a great team, no doubt. But I think Indiana was better, and I think they should have won that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's one you can look at. It kind of fits right into what we were just talking about with college players versus pro players. And there was a couple of good pro players on Duke's team. I mean, I say that kind of tongue in cheek. I mean, they were, but like Bobby Hurley wasn't a great. You'd probably compare Bobby Hurley's pro career to Calbert Cheaney's. Maybe not quite as good as Calbert Cheaney's. But I mean, no one on IU, Allen didn't play, so I mean, who else on that team was great at that point? Had a great career in the NBA. I mean, Grant Hill and Christian Laettner did, but you look at how many of those players were great. I mean, great college players. I mean, that's where you're looking at a college basketball game and you're going, this is unbelievable how many, of the best college players in the country. If you sat down and started naming them all, you name the top 25 best college players of that year in the country, and there was probably 6 of them on that court.
Is Christian Laettner the best college player ever?
What?
I'm just what he succeeded at that time. I'm just wondering. I mean, who from college player only, college career only.
I don't think so.
I mean, you've got to look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Walton, but
yeah, those guys were all before me, so I've never even seen a clip of those guys play.
And I don't count them because UCLA cheated a lot back then. So, but yeah, I mean, from what he achieved. He's definitely one of the greatest college players of all time, I would think, Christian Laettner.
I don't know. I guess I'm trying to come up with an argument against you, but I don't really have one.
And I'm not. It's not that I'm a Duke or Christian Laettner fan.
I know.
I'm not.
We know you're not.
I'm not at all. But I'm like just, and I'll tell you, if you watch that 30 for 30 they did on him, even Kentucky fans had to feel a little less hatred towards him.
You know what that comment gets? Cracking beer on that one. It might actually just be a Monster drink, but it made it sound like I'm cracking beer.
What was that commercial? Bush.
Yeah, you bring up Christian Laettner as the best player of all time in college, and I'm starting to drink.
It will lead some to drink, but it's a great argument to have.
Hey, you know what? I mean, if you sit down and start going through it, I mean, I know right now, see, this is where I suck at this because all of a sudden, you take a guy like Jake Query or my buddy Greg Akers and guys like that, they could rattle off 8 names right now. And you could say, oh yeah, that guy was really good. Oh yeah, that guy was really good. I suck at that. Like I can argue with them once they bring a name up, but I'm terrible at bringing up old names like that.
Oh man, I hear you. See, yesterday also, Trevor Lawrence, the Clemson quarterback, him and his girlfriend, they started a GoFundMe thing for coronavirus victims, and then there was some scuttlebutt that was against NCAA rules, yada yada. Long story short, they got it worked out. NCAA says, "No, we appreciate your efforts. Let's make that work." So, great story there with the NCAA working with Trevor Lawrence as they have a GoFundMe thing up for coronavirus victims. So that's a cool deal.
Yeah, it is.
Cam Newton got cut by the Panthers. He gone.
Did they sign a new quarterback already?
I think they got Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, did they? Yep, he gone.
And then Indiana made a basketball offer to a 2022 6'7" small forward Alex Caravan up in New Hampshire. Trying to think of who he reminds me of. He's 6'7".
He's super thin. I saw pictures of him. He is probably 6'7", 180.
He turns sideways and he disappears.
Clifton Marshall's going to have his work cut out for him on that one.
Yeah, this guy can shoot. He can do a lot. So, but it's 2022. I don't like spending a lot of time talking about freaking 17-year-old kids that I don't care about until they're 18 and a half and about to come to college because it doesn't do much for me.
Because you're not an AAU predator.
I guess there's that. Have you seen this show, Tiger King?
Does it make me a bad person to admit I watched the whole thing yesterday?
No, because I watched the whole damn thing. I'm like, it's and the whole time I'm thinking, good Lord, this was what my life has come to.
Me too. I kept saying I am not. I kept telling Jessica, we are not watching another episode of this. And this some bitch would come on. Oh, sorry.
You can't stop. It's like a car wreck.
And it would say next episode, and I wanted to click it off so bad, and I couldn't do it. I watched them all in a row.
It's nuts. I'm finished it too.
This coronavirus has me lost my mind.
It is. It's funny.
I wouldn't watch a show like that for anything 3 months ago.
Oh my gosh! If you haven't seen it, don't watch it because if you start, you can't stop.
But I want to know how they didn't go investigate that lady's husband's death. Somebody explain that to me.
That lady's a nut job.
She's a nut job. Everyone on that shows it. The only guy that's not crazy is the guy that doesn't have his legs.
That's right.
He's the only one that has any common sense and any sanity at all. I could talk about this show all night. I watched the entire thing yesterday, so you better change subjects.
Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. That is hilarious, though. It's like everybody's watching it. There's nothing else to freaking watch, man.
You talk about those people just absolutely fell in. The timing was right for them in this.
Not only that, and here's the thing. During the whole thing, he's wearing a ball cap of a car dealer down there in Oklahoma during the entire thing. And I'm thinking, this guy made got $1 billion worth of advertising out of it. He could never in a million years afford the advertising he's getting because he wears that hat almost in every shot. I can tell you the name of the dealership just because it's ingrained in my damn head.
I don't know why he wears a hat. He's got such cool hair.
Oh yeah, the mullet, the bleach blonde mullet hair.
Bleach blonde mullet.
It's something.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't even want to describe it because I'm afraid I'll say something wrong. I can't even start talking about it. Oh, my God. If you start describing it, you're going to violate social mores right off the bat. So I'm like, I can't say word. Just go watch it. It's on Netflix, which it's all everybody has to do now, unfortunately. But, oh, man. Well, let's see if Brian Evans has seen that. Any chance that Brian Evans has watched Tiger King?
Yeah, probably. There's a decent chance. Although he's got 4 young kids.
Oh, he's got 4? I knew he had kids. 4?
Yeah, he's got 3 girls and a boy.
Gee whiz.
And they're all under, I want to say under 15-ish.
Dude. Okay, I have a daughter. You have kids. I love my daughter. You love your kids. But really, would you want to be quarantined with 3 girls and a boy right now under 15 years old?
Nope.
Oh Oh my God! And they can't
Nope.
go outside and rain. If it's raining, oh man. Well, we look forward to talking to Brian Evans, the Hoosier man, joining us next year on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with that right after this.
Lazy, I'm uneducated. My opinion means nothing, but I know I'm a real good dancer. Don't need to look over my shoulder.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe. Effective. Even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary here on this Wednesday. It's March 25. Come to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Joined now by one of our favorites, Brian Evans, former Hoosier teammate of Todd O'Leary. How's it going, Brian?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Not too bad.
Hey there, Todd just sent me something. We were talking about, having to be quarantined and people like you have a large family. You got 4 kids. I'm like thinking, wow, you imagine having to be quarantined like that and the kids all around the place. And he sent me something that made us laugh. And I'm like, I wonder if this is Brian.
Because of coronavirus, you are going to be quarantined, but you have a choice. Do you, A, quarantine with your wife and child, or B?
Now, of course, Brian, you can't respond to that because you're probably sitting in the house with all of them right now. But
well, you know what? That's not. You know what? I heard that earlier in the week or last week, and I laughed and I sent it to a bunch of people. But I'm actually right now quarantined
inside of our quarantine. So I'm in my master bedroom closet right now so I could hear you guys and you don't have a bunch of background noise. So it's real, man.
You have to self-isolate from time to time within your own house. I understand. I get that.
That's right.
What is it like for you? Got they're talked about having a family. I mean, you got 4 kids. I mean, we've talked about our entire lives have been upended over this. But when you have 4 kids going on, man, it is just tough.
No, it is. And I got my wife had some things to do yesterday, and I had the second grade e-learning thrown at me and my son, and it was no joke. It was about a 3-hour ordeal. A lot of different subjects we touched. I needed to bring in help from a 5th grader 2 different times. Not cool.
So the answer is, are you smarter than a 5th grader? We have answered that question, then it sounds like.
Not this one. No, not this one.
Oh, man, I can imagine.
Hey, Brian, like, what are you like? So my kids, my 3 boys, they're a little bit older than your kids, but they're still kids and they still live in the house. But you can't get them to mine have cars, so they drive to their friend's house. They're all hanging out like this is spring break and there's no issue. I mean, do you let your kids have people over? Are you guys allowed to do that?
No, no, that's out the window. No, I think we're trying to follow, and do what we're being told. And
right.
And certainly that's not it. My 8th grader yesterday tried to do a fake jog, like she was going to go running, but I knew she was going to go with 2 of her friends. And just even that, like going outside jogging. I mean, why do this all week long? I mean, we've already been at it for 10 or 12 days.
Right.
There's no reason to blow it right now. So I followed her in the car. And
is she a frequent jogger?
Oh, no, not at all. So she went out, fake jog, get some fresh air. And, I just pulled up behind her and said, hey, hop in. Let's go. Because she was meeting up with a couple of friends. But that we have not allowed them to have people over, and they haven't gone anywhere else. We've been trying to do what we're told.
That's good.
Yeah, no fun. We cannot allow fun to be had either. So no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's tough to have to do all this stuff, and I can imagine that being more difficult, having to mind other people like kids to force them not to do things to take care of themselves. But it is where we are. But the sports world, man, we lost all the tournaments this year, Brian. Of course, it sucked for all of us. But man, it's still hard to get over not being able to watch these tournaments play out.
Yeah, I hear you guys, but I got to be honest. That seems like so long ago now. I went to the IU Nebraska game, and it was so creepy, right? That was one of the last games played, and they announced that they put it on the screen. No fans tomorrow, and then I was sitting there with my son. Then the Rudy Gobert thing was released, and I just knew. And I don't know how to describe it. I just knew, and we got up kind of early. Maybe 10 minutes to go in the game, and we go to leave, and there's another gentleman walking out with his 2 young kids, and I looked at him and I said, I guarantee you they do not throw the ball up tomorrow night. And he goes, no way, they just put it on the screen. He goes, they're going to play. And I walked one direction, he goes the other. I go get in the car, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I knew there wasn't going to be an NCAA tournament. I knew there wasn't going to be a selection Sunday. I just knew it.
Well,
and
right.
But that seems like 2 months ago.
It does seem like a long time ago. You're right.
It does. I agree. And we talked about earlier, Karl Anthony Towns, his mom was just placed into an induced coma with COVID-19. So yeah, it's a serious deal. It's going everywhere. But
did you see the 2 guys? Did you see the 2 guys that passed away 2 days ago, Todd?
Former basketball players.
From St. John's. I mean, we played against him.
Yeah,
and these guys are 48-year-old guys, and I have a friend of a friend that knows the David Edwards family, and said that those 2 guys were together at a poker party, smoking cigars together just a few weeks ago.
No way.
And 4 of the 6 guys there, came down with the virus, and 2 of them are gone. I mean, it's crazy. It's scary. I don't think we're getting the statistics out of New York City like we should be. But it's scary.
Well, when you hear stories like that of of 2 out of 6 people that were there are now deceased. I mean, that makes it a little scarier than what we've been hearing for sure.
No doubt.
It certainly makes it real. We were having another discussion earlier as well. We almost took a bet on this. Have you seen now I'm going to go that my answer is going to be no, Todd, because now he has 4 kids. The answer is no. But have you seen the program Tiger King?
No, I have not.
You're good. You're one of the few in America.
We were just talking about how bored people are in some of the shows that they watch, and I think is it Netflix? There's a show out on that's called Tiger King, and if you have 8 hours to spare, which I know you do now, waste your life away and watch this. But once you turn it on, it's really hard to turn it off.
8 hours of your life you'll never get back. But
yeah, you'll never get it back. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesomely awful.
It's just a train wreck in motion, basically, is what it is. But so we had Indiana finishes up the basketball season. Archie Miller has improved over the last 3 years. We looked at his Ken Palm numbers. It's like went from the 70s to the 50s to the 30s. Although this year didn't seem as big of a jump because of where they finished in the Big Ten, but the Big Ten was so strong. Does it seem to you that the program is heading in the direction where it needs to head, Brian? And I know that some of those questions are sensitive, but as best that you feel that you can answer that.
I mean, it felt really desperate. I don't know, with 3 weeks to go in the season when they couldn't get a win, and it was such a roller coaster with that team for whatever reason. And they get 2 or 3 in a row, and you'd say, well, geez, now we're wondering if we're going to be ranked. It was so strange that Illinois is 19-10 or whatever they were at one point in time, and they were ranked, and we're right there with them. And I don't know, I just think that was one of the strangest college seasons that I've ever witnessed. And I'm not convinced how deep the Big Ten actually was. I was really looking forward to seeing what the Big Ten would do in the tournament, just because they were given a lot of respect. I know they were beating each other up, but that was one of the strangest seasons. I mean, Michigan State, like having I don't know what their record ended up, but that's a lot of losses for a Michigan State team. I thought Wisconsin was terrible at the beginning of the season. I don't know if they started 0-4 or 0-3. So, I mean, they 4-4, and then they looked really good towards the end. It was a strange season. I don't know. And when you look at how it ended, I kind of want to just throw the whole season out. I see that Archie's bringing in some top tier recruits, and let's just hope they have a really good off season in summer. I think you could probably look at it like they improved a little bit. That the season before with Romeo just felt like a train wreck of sorts with suspensions and I think underperforming as a team. This team was a little bit more fun to watch. I don't know. I guess in my heart, I wanted to be on the upswing. It wasn't a great season, though, by any means.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the guys that are coming in, this is what I'm kind of excited about. And, we had Deron Davis on the show a couple days ago, and, it was just kind of interesting to hear him talk. And this is why I know from your perspective, I know we have the same background in this, and that, he's not an Indiana guy. Devontae Green is not an Indiana guy. Justin Smith's not an Indiana guy. And when we talked to Deron about what he was doing, after school, I mean, it was pretty evident. Like the second he graduates, he'll probably never be back to the state of Indiana. And he has no real tie to the state. And that's what I'm excited about, the guys coming in, Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway next year. I mean, I don't think they're going to, be All-Americans right off the bat. I think they're going to contribute and be good, solid players like a lot of us were younger in our career. I mean, you turned out to be all Big Ten and Big Ten Player of the Year. Excuse me, don't let me insult you with all Big Ten there. But I mean, we all kind of started out. We loved Indiana. We loved IU. We loved the state, the whole part of it. And that's what I like about the recruits that are coming in, the guys who are kind of there now. I love that about Trace Jackson Davis and Rob Finnessy. I mean, they're Indiana guys. And I'm not a person who just says, hey, you have to recruit the state of Indiana. But I do think you've got to have a core of that on your team. And then you could kind of make that rub off on everybody else. And that's what our core was definitely Indiana-based high school players. And I think that there's something to that. I really do. And that's why I'm excited about the guys that are coming in, because the core of this team is going to be Indiana-based high school players. And I think overall that's going to have a better long-term effect for Archie. And I think that they'll continue to get better and better. I don't expect them next year to all of a sudden be a top 5 team, but I expect them to be a top 20 team. And I think having these Indiana kids will help with that.
That's awesome to hear that. I don't follow the recruiting as much. I mean, I know that they've got a couple, 4 or 5 star guys from Indiana. I like seeing that too. It's probably a little different. I mean, they with us, that was the dream school all along, right? And nobody had to sell it to us. And, we grew up with, seeing Indiana have success in the tournament, win championships. And it was just a natural thing, right? You wanted to be there.
Right.
I hear you saying that, but I can remind myself, these guys, in their childhoods, Indiana has never experienced much success. And so they've taken a chance on it. I don't know what that is, but I do like that they're all born and raised Indiana, played on the Indiana All-Star team and want to do something and have more pride in the name on the front, And
right. Yeah.
I certainly agree with you when these guys come from far away. And one of my last team or two that I played on was a lot of out-of-state guys. And we had guys from California, Florida, Texas, and, they didn't hate Kentucky when they came to IU. They didn't hate Purdue. And we had to try to teach. And, you waste time trying to teach them the essentials. Like, listen, no, we hate Kentucky and Purdue.
Right.
Well, why?
You're born
Brian? Well, let me tell you why.
Oh man, absolutely, it's hilarious. Ryan in Whitmore Lake, Michigan, texts in. He's asked, "What was your favorite moment of your IU career?" Is there any way to pull one moment out? I mean, it's kind of hard to do, I would think.
Yeah, that's not. I don't know. I don't know if it's a moment. I mean, one of my favorite ones was we beat. It's not like we going to the Final Four. I could easily pick something like that, but it ended with a loss. I think Todd, your last year, which had been my sophomore year, we made a little bit of a run. That was the tournament in '94. The Sharon was injured, and we played a pretty good Temple team with some pros on it, and we weren't a ranked team necessarily. I can't remember what our seed was, but, we made a little run. You win that second game of the first round. You've extended another week of the season. That was a fun time. I remember boarding the flight to come home from that first round, and that was a ton of fun, but it's too hard. We had so much fun. The senior nights were always a ton of fun. The group in front of you, Todd, with Calvert and all those seniors, who had done so much for the program, to watch those guys take the microphone. That was a fun night in Assembly Hall. Your guys' senior year, up until you did like a 45-minute speech, I was enjoying that night until you blew it
up. I still haven't finished that speech yet, by the way.
they had to cut him off.
There's more to come.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Brian, to just to go along with what you're saying, it's funny because right now on Twitter and Facebook, people are posting things of, there's so many IU fan pages and that stuff, but I keep seeing people post different things. Who is your favorite player? Who is about all these different things? And I saw a really interesting one that I thought was, and I don't usually reply to those, but I did on this one. And I'm not just saying it to kiss your butt, but somebody put one of these out there and they said, what player do you think improved most from his first year at IU to his last year at IU? And there wasn't even a remote question in my mind as to who the answer to that question was, and it was you. And when you came in there, I got to see you as a freshman when you came in there, and I obviously you could always shoot. You were a good shooter. You were a good player. You have a basketball IQ that's higher than most players in college. But to end up being the Big Ten Player of the Year, like there is not even another player that I think comes close to ranking with you from an Indiana perspective as to how much better they got from their freshman year to when they graduated. And
oh man, thanks.
So just wanted to give you.
That's a huge compliment to me. Thank you very much. Think about it. I mean, it took all the stars to align, really. I mean, I think I had, the right attitude and work ethic. I came from a good high school program with a good coach who Todd played for in the Indian All-Star team, Pat Rady.
Yep.
But, so, I mean, I had good roots, right? I didn't have parents at home kissing my butt telling me how great it was, which I think is important. Nowadays, I think it's the other way more times than not. But then I had Coach Knight, right, who I really respected and loved and wanted to play for, and that was my dream as a kid. So he's the best of the best. But the last piece, which is a huge part of it, is look at the team that I joined. This team was loaded with upperclassmen, really good guys, really good players to compete against and play against and measure yourself against every day. So, I mean, I had to have all those things together, that helped me become a better player for sure.
Also, someone you're very familiar with, Scott Dolson, recently named athletics director for IU. Big change going on there, but someone who has deep basketball roots for the Hoosiers.
Yeah, I'm excited. That was a shocker, or somewhat of a shocker to me. I was pulling for Scott. I saw him a couple times in the last couple months. Told him as much. I was up in actually Ann Arbor when IU played in Michigan. And the kind of last second trip and tried to go to the game, and he set me up, and, I did ask him about it, and he was, really quiet and didn't have much to say, and just said, thank you for pulling for me. But I gotta admit, I'm not close enough to the situation. I don't know what I thought they were going to do. I actually kind of had forgotten about it, to be honest. And then when they made the announcement, I was tickled to death for Scott. He, has he put in the years. And he is close to a lot of the important people. He's bridged the gap, from late 80s till now. And I don't know if there's anybody more deserving. I love that we stayed in house and Scott gets his turn.
You're the running, or the guy that the other one that was up for that was your former teammate, Chris Reynolds.
Is that right? Well, I didn't, you know what? They kept it all quiet. They kept it really quiet. I actually went back and forth with Chris during the conference tournaments. His team was on, and I just shot him a quick text and said, hey, I'm watching the Bradley Braves. Good luck. And he was, I think he must have been just sitting there at the gate, texted me right back and thanked me. I wasn't sure what they were doing. I don't know about you, Todd. Like, I guess I don't pick up the phone and ask questions, and I'm just busy enough, I guess, to not – dig into what's going on with the AD search. But hey, had Chris gotten that? That's one of our guys, right? Dolson's one of our guys. Scott or Chris is one of our guys. I don't think we could have gone wrong. But I'm excited. I'm excited about what Scott's going to do.
Yep, I agree with you. I mean, Chris, obviously, we know what kind of person he is, and he's a better person than both of us, that's for sure. But he would not have been a bad choice. But I just think Indiana did the right thing, and it's on a positive track, and it has been for several years with Fred Glass, and no one knows that that track better than Scott Dolson, and he has definitely, like you said, put the years in, and you know what, he kind of bridges all the different aspects you need from that. I mean, he has worked with the big donors and the varsity club for since 1989. And, he's also been a part of improving the facilities and all the other aspects of it and doing the new contracts for new coaches. So, I'm with you. I don't think they could have made a better choice than Scott.
Well, yeah, Brian, man, it's exciting.
I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to join us today. I know you got a busy schedule right now. You are actually one of the few that actually does have a busy schedule. You probably are one of the few that does have a busy schedule. You got 4 kids.
Well, as soon as I finally get off this tedious call, I'm going to head over to Dunkin' Donuts for a coffee, and I'm going to bring my little sterile wipes, and then I'll be back at the house. So thanks for letting me go.
And the last time when I texted you, I had texted you before, but it didn't send because when you joined us after when Coach Knight came back afterwards at Yogi's, and you were sitting there for 2 minutes, and Todd gave you the big bump, the heave ho. I was gonna I was going to have you answer the phone and say, hey, welcome, thanks a lot, see you guys, and just hang up on us, but I forgot.
That would have been good, and I would have understood. I'll tell you what.
You would have played that. You would have played that role.
Todd, I know where I rank. I mean, Todd says some awfully nice things about me, and I do appreciate it, but I do think he was making up for when Keith Smart, I mean, the guy that hit the shot, walked into Yogi's. I mean, he just cleared a path for me to get the hell out of there.
You got the hook real quickly. Hey, and I know you'd have done the same for me, so we appreciate each other in that.
Brian, thanks, brother. Have a great day.
Yeah, guys. Hey, anytime, man.
Thank you, brother. Brian Evans, former Hoosier, he's a great one. We love having him on. I appreciate him taking his time.
He's one of the best storytellers that there is. I mean, he and Dockich and those guys, I mean, when they tell a story, it's just different than when we say it.
The first time I had him on as a guest, I know I probably told this story, but I had to record it back then. And I was recording Jamal Meeks afterwards. I had one scheduled it was at night. I was doing one at 8 o'clock, and I said, told Jamal I'll call you at 8:30. Well, we start on about 8:05 with Brian. About 8:45, I'm looking at my watch going, man, this ain't a podcast. This is a radio show.
Yeah, he's like me. He can talk.
Whoo, I had to learn that, but but it's great. But appreciate having Brian on the show today. Looking forward to it. Hey, coming up tomorrow on the program, we're going to be talking Indiana's newest strength coach, Aaron Wellman. And on Friday, how about Devontae Green joining us? So we continue the long parade of great guests here on Indiana Sports Beat. We got more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, and we're back with it right after this.
You got me so I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, yeah. You really got me now. You got me so I can't see my night. You really got me.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe. Effective. Even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Well, we addressed that with our guys, and I went through, we had a virtual team meeting this past Sunday night, 7 o'clock, and got in front of everybody, which was awesome. But we addressed that. We came out of, I thought we had 4 great spring practices to get off to a great start for spring and head into spring break. And as you mentioned, the momentum from the bowl game and then the weight room work that was put in after they returned from campus after that game, and just felt like we had so much carryover and just there was just kind of a seamless step into the next phase of our, program development. And it kind of felt the same way we got into spring ball. It just didn't seem like we had been gone that long because of all those bowl practices and the fact that we had all that preparation. So, I'm not going to, be honest, it is a little disappointing. But at the same time, as I told our guys, we don't blink. And it's the same thing I said when we had to address the departure of Coach Ballou and Dr. Ray. We didn't blink and brought in Aaron Wellman, who you just spoke with, and a guy that I think is going to do a phenomenal job for us. And our kids are very excited about working with him. But it's definitely different and not what we expected. But as we went on to say, I had this whole series of things I challenged them with. I said, hey, bottom line is this. They just canceled spring ball. We don't blink. They just canceled classes in person for the rest of the year. We don't blink. They just recently shut down weight rooms. We can't be on our facility here. We're not going to blink. Then we get a state order that says you can't even go to a gym. We don't blink. We're going to be doing things in our garages and basements and wherever they have access to. So that to me is just the mindset we're going to take as a program. We don't blink. And I did a motivational thing with our team today that we sent out to our entire, all of our players, coaches, managers, trainers, everybody that's part of this program. So you just have to adapt and you have to adjust, and we're all in the same boat. Every team in the country is dealing with this. Talked to some head coaches here recently, and so I just think that you can't dwell on the things you can't control. So we don't really talk about what we can't do. We're just going to find out what we can do, how we can best adapt. And I think those who adapt the best and take the most advantage of this opportunity and this window of time is going to come back in May, June, or July, whenever that may be, and be ahead of the game. So that's our objective.
Okay. It's not the whole thing. Hold on, sorry.
I think we had a technical malfunction, Jake is saying, basically. So start over I don't even know what we were talking about. I'm so confused right now. But
it was Tom Allen just introducing Aaron Wellman yesterday and what he said about the momentum of the program. And, you made a great point earlier about the salary and the high pay that they're putting out there for Aaron Wellman or for the strength coach. And I honestly, I think that's the way to go. I think that starting with the core of where these guys come in and get better and, what they've got to do to their bodies to go from a high school level to a college level. And then from a freshman to when they get to be seniors. I mean, it's a big transformation, and this guy's job is as important as anybody on that coaching staff.
And let's don't forget, he came from the New York Giants to Indiana.
Yeah, I can't explain that. The Giants are horrible.
There's $700,000. Yeah, I get that. That'll make anybody go a lot of places. But Indiana has the third highest paid strength coach in the country. And the ones that left in the number one were at Indiana. So that shows that, they're making a commitment to this, and it's about time, of course. But yeah, I think they're showing a commitment is being made.
Yeah, I mean, and you think about it's really kind of a parallel move from the standpoint of, you've got to take a kid that's coming out of college and, he's a senior, he's 21, 22 years old, and he's big. By the time these guys get to the point of graduating from college and moving on to the pros, I mean, they're already big, but think how big they have to get to escalate to the NFL level. So you're talking about even transforming these guys' bodies even bigger. The thing I like about him is the fact that, he's been trying to get guys to that NFL level. And now coming back here to college, he's going to be taking, infants in that world and taking guys that are coming out of high school and trying to get them to the college level. So his bar and his level of where he's trying to train these guys and get to is much higher than someone who's just worked in the college ranks. And that's just my outside opinion looking at it.
Hey, don't forget to go to the Hoosier.com, Indiana Rivals. Sign up, get yourself set up there. It's free, it costs you nothing, but you can get all of our shows there, content. Going to have a lot of stuff over the summer there with Todd, with Jordan Halls, Charlie Miller. So go there and get signed up. It's free to do that. And also make sure follow Todd on Twitter, @LearyTodd. I just love to get the opportunity to say that.
Yep.
@LearyTodd and @JimCoyle ISB. Follow us on Twitter, give us a follow, and on Facebook. Support us, so keep following what we're doing. Hey, something I was thinking about yesterday. Think about seniors in sports like wrestling, that's a winter sport. And of course, they didn't get all the tournaments were canceled, but theirs are different because theirs are individual. I'm like, golly, I was watching something on an Iowa wrestler yesterday. It's like, golly, I forgot about wrestling. And you talk about when I was in high school, I wrestled 1 year. 1 year. It was the most difficult sport I'd ever participated in as far as grueling and what it took from you physically. It's a grueling sport, man.
Well, I can tell you how grueling it is, because when we would get in trouble in basketball, in high school, that is, when we would have bad practices or bad game or whatever, Coach Kiefer would basically take the day off and send us up to practice with the wrestling team. And believe me, you don't want to do that very often.
That is great.
It's so much harder than basketball practice. It's not even funny.
Oh my God.
So
you can't, it's like you can't breathe.
You gain a whole new perspective for those guys. I remember Frank Ingalls. He's a little tiny guy at my high school. I think he might have wrestled like 100 pounds or 105 pounds or something. And I can remember thinking about how easy that would be to be in wrestling and that stuff. And we had to go practice with them one day. And, man, Frank became my buddy from then on, because at 100 pounds, he could have whipped my butt without even blinking. It was nuts how hard their practices were. So, yeah, when you think about the individual sports like that and all – nobody, in my opinion, just from what I have witnessed, nobody works harder than the wrestlers. And for their individual seasons to come to an end like that is, it's one of the real tragedies from a sports perspective of this coronavirus and the whole pandemic and things going on. And it'll be something down the road that, guys will talk about 20 years from now when they're in business meetings talking about people, and they'll be like, yeah, my senior year was the coronavirus year. And people will still understand it. It doesn't make up for all the hard work those guys put in, and it basically just goes for naught.
Tim just tuned in, said he had network problems. He's working from home, of course. Alan says, hello, guys, from Southern Indiana.
Wait a minute, Tim works?
He says he does.
I'm kidding. He just gives me a hard time all the time, so I thought I'd chime back in on it.
And one other quick thing, the 3-point distance. I've been thinking about this. This is probably, we could have a longer discussion about this, but they've gone from 19.9 to when it first came in to 29 to now they're at 22 and 1 3/4, the international distance. I think they finally have this distance right. I think it is done moving, because I think we've seen the difficulty, and now they'll catch back up to that. I think the percentages will go up a little bit, but sure. I think they finally have it where it's probably going to end up being.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I don't think it'll happen. I just how many times did you get tired of watching guys step out of bounds on the sidelines this year?
Oh, my God.
It happened in every game. Like it was It was amazing.
It's another great question. Is the college court wide enough?
Will they make it wider? The hard part about that is some of these venues don't. Some of these venues don't add
money
up
chair.
to being able to do that.
Well, that's because that's where the money chairs
you're
are.
Losing
baby.
the big dollar chairs down there, and so I don't think that we'll see that happen. But and I think that'll happen less and less. It's just funny because that line being there just for some reason makes people get wider. I mean, you were always taught growing up when you fill the lanes, running the break, that you stay outside the 3-point line, and that's something they'll just have to not teach anymore. I mean, the lane will be kind of an imaginary line as opposed to the 3-point line. But I like it where it is. I think this is the spot for it to be. I didn't like the middle line. I mean, I understood it when they made it the 19-9 originally. I think the next jump should have just been straight to the international line. I didn't like the fact that they made up their own line in between.
Yeah, well, they're there now, and it's funny that the women are. What is their 3-point line? 19-9, I think.
I think it's still the original 19-9.
But man, they've adjusted to where they knock that shot down pretty routinely.
Oh yeah, there's a move. If it hasn't moved back already, it will, because they shoot it at a higher clip than the men do.
But I wonder if they'll leave it there just for the added excitement to the women's game that brings. But yeah, they can knock that shot down. We see the Indiana women; they routinely just nail that 3-point. It's like it's nothing. Knocking that down. Hey, we got a lot more. Are we late, Jake? Or are we good? All right. But yeah, so and hopefully that's something Indiana sees a higher percentage in with Anthony Leal coming in, Trey Galloway, those kind of guys that can, Jordan Geronimo. You know what? That's one of the things Indiana's always been known for is shooters, having shooters yourself.
Right.
Pat Graham. We can go back so far back. Jay Edwards, Steve Alford. I mean, he just goes on and on. They haven't had that in these last few years, and that's one of the things Indiana fans love to see, a shooter, that a good old-fashioned Indiana shooter. Jordan Hall's one of the a perfect example. 6-foot kid who had to work his tail off to do that, but man, he was lethal. He's still lethal.
Yeah, I mean, here was, this is why I think Coach Knight won a lot of recruiting battles, and this is why I think he lost some recruiting battles, is because he felt like you take a guy who can shoot and he can play in my system. I can get him in my system. I can make it work. And so guys were coming in, they were already able to shoot. And nowadays I think and this is not Archie Miller or Tom Crean or Kelvin Sampson or anybody different. This is the position of college basketball today is they want an athlete and they think they'll teach the athlete how to be able to shoot. That's the NBA's philosophy. They want the athletes, and then they'll work with them hard enough to be able to develop them to be good shooters. And in college, I just don't think you have that kind of time. You don't have that. They still have to go to class. They've got to have jobs in the summertime. They're still trying to make their bodies bigger and all different kinds of things. And I think they've gotten away from recruiting the skill and are recruiting more in the athletic side of things. And I think that these two new recruits, although they're athletic, Trey Galloway and Anthony Leal, Jordan Geronimo is pretty athletic. I mean, they're pretty athletic, but they're skilled players to start. And that's why I'm super excited about this group.
Yep, looking forward to it. Hey, we got a little more to go before we finish out. Joining us next, Dustin Apirich is going to join us. We'll be talking to him as soon as we come back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Coy O'Leary back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm covering the Hoosiers, you find me at Bubba's 30 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made freshly. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable of our community and would to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with F.C. Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moyes.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe. Effective. Even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Wednesday, joined now by our good friend Dustin DePirick. Justin, how are you, man?
Doing good, man. Hanging in there. How are you?
Fine. How are you doing through this coronavirus? Getting yourself nice and locked into a room someplace?
Yeah, pretty much. My wife's a reporter at the Indianapolis Star, so we basically got a bureau working out of here, finding ways to, when we're both on calls at the same time, trying to, separate and make sure we can both hear what's, who's on the other end of the line. So it's been interesting from that standpoint, from us both working from home, because she obviously usually spends a lot of time in the office. But yeah, staying safe and obviously, abiding by the rules. Obviously, seen a lot of scary stuff out there, so making sure that we're not, going out there messing around.
We both attended a press conference yesterday through the phone. That is,
you
Tom
did.
Allen.
I didn't.
Oh,
do
you weren't.
Press conference.
Oh, you weren't there. You weren't there. Yes, I was just kidding anyway. But Tom Allen introduced Aaron Wellman. I was talking about this earlier, Dustin. I mean, they showed a commitment earlier with Dr. Ray and Dave Ballou when making them the paying them what they did, and then now they're number one in Alabama. But they bring in Aaron Wellman, and he's the number 3 highest paid coach. Strength coach in the country. They're keeping that commitment and actually going in more on this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I talked to Fred Glass when Scott Dolson was named as his successor, and we talked about, okay, what are some of the most important things that you got to do going forward? And he talked about football, and I think Dolson also mentioned it as well, is you have to maintain this level of commitment. And they've talked about this for years, and you've got to be creative about it as well, because you're not going to have the most money. You're basically, I think Glass pointed out, hey, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, they make more money off one game than Indiana makes off of ticket sales in a year. So you got to find the right way to raise revenue and spend revenue, because you're not just going to get the highest paid head coach. So it's like, okay, where else are you going to try to make up for that? And they look at it as, hey, development is your best bet, because you're not necessarily going to get the blue chip recruits. You're not going to get a whole bunch of 5-star kids that look NFL ready the day they walk in the door. I mean, you've got to get guys that are going to develop into NFL talent over the years, because you're not beating Alabama and Michigan and Penn State for players. You have to get guys that are eventually going to be that good, and that requires development guys that are really smart in terms of how they build players. So I think that is a big investment that they looked at and said, okay, well, this makes sense. How do I get this team better? It's taking the talent you have and making it better over time. So that I think is important. I mean, I think that they do realize that there is an investment to be made in football, that there's returns to be had in football because as Glass said, there's football ticket inventory is inventory they can build revenue for the department by bringing more people in football, and it is important just to have a functioning team when you're in the Big Ten, just to make sure that you're not getting the crap kicked out of you, and you're keeping morale high in the overall department, keeping people coming out, giving tickets, spending money, all that kind of stuff. It's just good for Indiana to have a good functioning, winning football program, even if it's not going to be at the Ohio State level, just being competitive, getting to bowl games. So the bottom line is it's worth the money. So, in those aspects, they're willing to spend a little bit more to making sure they're going to get people that are going to be able to build that program.
Yeah, when you stop to think about it, it's actually wild because Aaron Wellman is now the second highest paid coach on that Indiana staff, below Tom Allen, which, I mean, who would have thought
that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. Again, it tells you where, putting their money where their mouth is, saying, hey, physical development of the guys is more important than any one position coach can do. And that feels maybe insulting to the rest of the guys. I'm sure, if you're a coordinator, you're probably like, okay, why are we doing this? This is supposed to be the big job. But ultimately, if you're Indiana and you're thinking about it that way, that, this is what you need more than anything else, it does make sense. It ultimately does make sense for you to go get people that are going to develop players. And if you're basically, you have to look at it as if you're a coordinator, if you're a position coach, this is going to make your guys better. This is going to give you a better quality athlete to work with when you basically get into practice. And that's really important. It's like you're only going to be able to recruit talent that's so great. You hope that they're getting better players every year and every year that they win. But ultimately those guys are still going to be 3 and sort of low level 4-star guys. You're not going to get a lot of big time high school recruits. So you've got to turn them into big time players that are NFL caliber over the years. And that's what the investment's for.
And I got to be honest with you, this is probably one of the most impressive coaching hires at IU because they had to go to the New York Giants, bring a guy from the Giants to Indiana, of all places. And from the NFL to Indiana, who's, they want to get up there, but they're not. They're not in that upper echelon. So they're I don't want to call them a second-tier school, but when you talk about the Ohio States, the Penn States, the Michigans, they're not there. But to bring a guy in from the Giants, that says a lot to me.
Yeah, no, you obviously have to, you got to convince a guy. If you're going to tell somebody, okay, I need you to leave the NFL and leave, it's the New York Giants. I mean, so how do you convince somebody to leave that job? You've got to throw a lot of money at them, and you've got to prove to them something as to why they should do it. It's not the most prestigious position in the world. People, I imagine in Alabama, everybody knows a strength and conditioning coach. Like, that's not necessarily going to be the case in Indiana. Like, not everybody in Indiana knows the head football coach. So it is, you got to be able to make the sell. You got to be able to say, okay, here's the reason to do this. And obviously the money is a big starting point, but it's like, I'll say, like, this is the kind of freedom you're going to have. This is the ability you're going to have. This is how much we care about your job, and the impact that you can make. And I think that's really big. And obviously I think they also showed, hey, you can make a big leap from here, because if you make these guys better, like there's an opportunity here to make a name for yourself by, this is how you make your guys, you can make the program much, much better, by building these guys up, and people will see that. So I think, it's an interesting sell. It's not easy to get in the door, you wouldn't think, with somebody like that, but they obviously managed to make the pitch, and it helps that they've got some money to throw around at them.
The coronavirus obviously has just wrecked our sports lives right now, but looking at Indiana basketball, Devontae Green and Deron Davis, obviously 2 seniors that are gone. They'll be replaced. You've got Trey Galloway, Anthony Leo, Jordan Geronimo, and potentially Christian Lander coming in. Of course, Christian Lander having to go through the hurdles of trying to reclassify into the 2020 class, which some thought that this may make it easier with all this stuff being at home. But, I have a daughter, a 16-year-old daughter who's in high school, and her mom says that they're like kind of overcompensating and making it more difficult. So I wonder if this will make it more difficult for him to get it done to reclassify.
Yeah, I don't know how this works. Honestly, I'm always amazed at how many kids are able to reclassify in the first place. Because if you look at it on that scale and try to remember, yourself and the classes that you were taking in your junior and senior year of high school, man, I was a pretty good student. I can't imagine it, honestly. If you told me, okay, all right, Dust, you've got to, you want to go to college a year early, all right, go through everything you're going through in your junior year and pack on, the 3 or 4 classes. I didn't have to take a lot by senior year to graduate, but, it was still tack on those 3 more to, your junior year that's usually really packed, and try to do that towards the end of the year and try to do it all online. I can't imagine doing that. I don't know how these kids pull it off. Again, like there's usually your senior year is not usually very demanding, but it doesn't matter. I mean, just tacking that on, your junior year is usually extremely demanding. So tacking anything else onto that seems like a real bear. Now, I don't know if he's got plans for the summer or what, but based on everything I've heard, it sounds like they're pretty confident he can pull it off. Kind of on both ends. He is, and Indiana is pretty confident that he's going to be able to get this thing done and be able to be in that class. So I don't know what it takes. I don't know what kind of logistics are going to have to happen. I don't know if it's a situation of he's got to do a lot of, he's got to try to rip through a couple classes in the summer or what. It's, again, remembering what high school was like for me, I can't imagine how you pack that in. But I guess more power to him. I'm not sure what exactly it takes, how any of these kids do it, but it seems like apparently he's a really good student and he's going to find a way to pull it off. He's certainly dedicated to it, and it seems like I guess it's something that people are expecting him to do at this point, and it is something that he at least is in decent position to pull off. I don't know how that's going to work with e-learning, tacking all that on. I don't know if it's going to make it harder or not. I don't know if it's a situation where, okay, if he's going to have the same opportunity for people to work with him to get it done, because everybody, again, all of the additional burdens that might be on people, I really don't know, how much everything is going to pull that off. But at this point, they seem confident it could happen. We'll see if that's still the case in a couple months.
And I know this is a question that there's no point in answering until it happens, but if he does not get done what he's trying to get done to reclassify, I wonder if that will affect his commitment, because the whole drive of getting there sooner is to play with Trace Jackson Davis, who probably most likely will not be there for a 3rd season. So it makes you wonder, if he can't get reclassified, does it affect his commitment?
I'd be really surprised. I mean, I know that makes a difference. I know it makes a difference to maybe not have an opportunity to play with Trace, but if you don't commit to go to a school if you don't really want to be there. Basically, that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, well, what do you know? It's not like it was a conditional commitment. When you say you're coming, it's like, all right, like what if you don't really like the place, what are you doing? If you're just doing it for one guy who might be there for 1 year. Like what's that seems to me, Christian Landa doesn't strike me as that, not shallow a kid. That's not the word I'm looking for, but like that single-minded of a kid. I'd be really surprised if he makes a decision, solely based on the opportunity to play with Trace. I mean, that makes a difference, but it's like, okay, well, what's it, certainly his assist numbers will probably go down when he doesn't have Trace. But you got to imagine they're going to go get some other guys. I mean, I'm sure they'll probably, they're going to go after Trey Kaufman in that class a lot. I mean, they're going to go after some talented big guys and get some guys with some size. So, I mean, it's not like they're not going to bring in somebody of some level of caliber. And also they'll, the other players will have sort of another year to adjust and get better. So there's going to be talent for him to play with by the time he gets in. So I'd be really surprised if that's a reason. I mean, that offers a cost of something. I mean, I imagine he'd enjoy playing with Trace. And that certainly makes it better for, it gives them a better opportunity to have a more successful team. But I can't see him, throwing that opportunity away and saying, okay, well, if I can't come to Indiana now, I'm not going to come to Indiana at all. It's like, okay, do you like the place or don't you? If you're only going to spend a year or two there, what makes the difference there? So I'd be kind of surprised if he goes, if he goes a different direction.
I agree with you. Obi Toppin, AP Player of the Year. It's not like you can argue with it, but both Todd and I are of the same opinion that Luka Garza was the best player in the absolute best league all season long, and he did it against the best competition. So we're in that camp of the Luka Garza. I think he's the Player of the Year. Not that Obi Toppin's not great and is not going to be a great pro, but for us, we both thought that Luka Garza was the guy.
I voted for Obi. I didn't have an AP vote. I had a USBWA vote, and I think part of it was I saw Iowa get beat 3 times, and I think and that probably gave me an unfair sort of view of who he is. One of them I watched on. I guess I watched both the Purdue games on TV, and saw Indiana up close, but, saw basically each of those games and, saw a Purdue team that was extremely mediocre, thrashed them a couple times. And I think, I probably wasn't fair to Luka on that, but it just struck me that people did realize, okay, you can let Luka beat you and still beat Iowa because they don't defend. And, if you just make sure the other guys don't go off, you can let Luka get 30 and still win. So that I think was something that sort of probably overly affected my view of it. Because again, I saw a couple not great teams. Indiana was barely going to make the tournament. They probably were going to make it, but barely. And Purdue was not going to make it. And they beat Iowa pretty good. And it says, okay, well, how sort of valuable, how good is he if teams go in there knowing they can let him go off, and that he can get 30 and still not win a basketball game. It's like, in terms of how he fits in the whole thing, but he was special. I mean, and I, like I said, I'm probably being unfairly harsh there. It's sort of it's not a recency bias, but basically it is a bias based on the games that I saw him play and focused on. But, obviously you look at the numbers and they're spectacular, and there were some spectacular things he was able to do in just terms of his ability to score the basketball, read about the basketball. I mean, he was really special, did a lot of great things. He worked really hard. But that affects the way I looked at him. Again, I know it's the best league in the country and everything like that, but there is an effect there to me. That you can beat Iowa even if he goes off, and you can beat Iowa soundly even if he goes off. I mean, I think he might have had 30 against Purdue, at Mackey, and they won. Purdue won 104-68. Like you can if you can make sure those other guys don't burn you, you can live giving Luka Garza 30 points. And Toppin obviously managed to make Dayton 18-0. Now again, that's the Atlantic 10, and it wasn't a really good year for the Atlantic 10 either. I mean, Dayton ran all over everybody. It looks better because, they obviously performed as well as they did at Maui and took Kansas to overtime and beat everybody else. And, those are the games that everybody's going to remember from Dayton, because you don't know how many times everybody watched him the rest of the year, but his numbers were terrific. He was fun to watch when he was out there. He did a lot of stuff, shot the ball well, was really good at the rim, really athletic, rebounded the ball well, and, perfect season from a conference standpoint. So that changes the game a little bit. Like I said, I'm probably being unfair to Garza because of the specific games I saw him watch. But I think it's a really good argument. It's a really tough argument. It's obviously, two terrific players.
Absolutely, and we'll get a chance to watch those guys both go on in the future and play, and looking forward to that. Dustin, I can't thank you enough, man, for joining us. As always, greatly appreciate you and your time.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. I got a lot of time going around now, so whenever you do.
I'm sure we'll be talking again soon, brother. Thank you very much. Dustin DePerick from The Athletic. Make sure you follow him on Twitter and at The Athletic as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You betcha. Dustin DePerick joining us here on Coyle and Leary on this Wednesday. Is about to wrap things up.
I'm not sure I've ever disagreed with a guest's opinion more than what he just said right there.
On the Obi Toppin thing?
I would just kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to argue with a guest, but that was saying if he obviously doesn't watch very much college basketball, and especially Big Ten, because if he thinks that anyone in the Big Ten, any coach went into it saying we're going to give Luka Garza 30 points in this game and the rest of the team can't beat us, then this guy knows nothing about basketball or coaching or scouting or recruiting or anything, because that is one of the most ludicrous statements I've ever heard. I watched every Luka Garza game this year, and he got double-teamed and triple-teamed and every other team you can come up with. Like, I'm shocked at that opinion he just gave.
Well, I think it shows how it can get skewed by what he was actually able to see, and I know what he means. I mean, what the games he saw, they shut him down. But
Purdue made 19 3-pointers in that game that he's talking about. They gave him 30. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he just I disagree with the just from the standpoint of the fact the numbers he put up against the talent he put up against versus and like, and I love Dustin. He's a great writer.
No.
But he mentioned the A10. Not only it's down, it's not even good.
And here's my point with this is, hey, I'm an Obi Toppin fan. Believe me, I'm an Obi Toppin fan. I love watching him play. But when he said he actually voted for Obi Toppin, I was excited. I wanted to hear his reasoning and his perspective and point of view. I just think you heard him himself. He yawned twice, giving his own answers. I mean, he was bored giving his own answers.
It's a boring time of life, unfortunately. I think we're all a little bored. We're talking, yeah, but oh well. I mean, it's a great conversation. It's going to go on. I mean, but that happens a lot too. The Flash gets the cash, man.
Yeah,
and he's a lot flashier. The dunks and all that. And Luka Garza is just a blue collar, bang it home, but he can step out and shoot the. I mean,
but yeah, you heard him say on there, like, part of his argument was, you saw Obi Toppin able to shoot the ball. I saw Luka Garza make more 3-pointers than Obi Toppin, like 3 times as many 3-pointers as Obi Toppin.
But that's what makes it a great debate, and I love it. I love that aspect of it. Hey, coming up tomorrow, man, Aaron Wellman, the newest strength coach for Indiana football, is going to join us here on the program. Looking forward to that, from the New York Giants. So looking forward to talking to him. Friday, Devontae Green will be on the program. So looking forward to finishing out the week strong, man, as always. We're all done with Tiger King, so I guess we'll have to find another stupid show to go.
Have you started watching Baskets yet?
Oh, I'm already on Baskets, man.
Oh,
I'm waiting for the new. Oh yeah, I'm waiting for the new season to come on.
Yeah. I'm late to the party on that one.
Better Call Saul. You can catch up on that one. It's only like 4 seasons.
Okay.
That's a spinoff from Breaking Bad.
I never saw that one either.
Oh, that's worth watching. That's 5 great seasons of good stuff there, man.
All right.
Hey, well, it's going to wrap it up for us. We appreciate everybody joining us as always, especially thanks to Brian Evans, to Dustin McCurrick. We'll be back tomorrow. Looking forward to it. For Todd Leary and Jake, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.